Hello friends, this is Naveen Kumar from the Indian YouTuber channel, and actually we are working on the CC Spark and Hadoop developer playlist, and we have come up to five sections in the documentation. Okay, let's now start with the Sqoop tool section. Here if you see, right, actually this Sqoop tool section is telling something like use command aliases, and it is controlling the Hadoop installation using generic and specific arguments, using options files to pass arguments, using tools. We are going to look all these options as of now. And in addition to that, actually we have to get started with the certification content directly, because the certification content is mostly emphasizing first on the import thing only. It is not at all emphasizing whether you are listing the database or not. That is just for your information. I gave the introduction in the previous videos. So if you see, right, actually, so over here it is telling that Sqoop is a collection of so we are getting started with the Sqoop tools. Actually, Sqoop is a collection of related tools. To use Sqoop, you have to specify the tool you want to use and the arguments that you want to control the tool. It is basically nothing but you are giving the Sqoop commands, right? There are some tools available, like you are giving Sqoop and import command, Sqoop and list databases command. From here onwards you can give Sqoop space import, or else Sqoop hyphen import. Actually Sqoop under Sqoop hyphen import, if you are writing some shells to execute the commands, right, that will be useful at that point of time, because you can't launch a Sqoop shell every time, right? So if you are running the Sqoop commands as a shell script, you have to give the command as Sqoop hyphen import, and you have to give the connection string that will do the purpose. So what actually they are telling is, you just give the Sqoop tool name and the Sqoop tool arguments, or else you can give the Sqoop hyphen tool name, something like that. It will be there. It is not at all needed for you to know. And actually in the previous video we saw this scenario also. We gave the Sqoop help and we got the list of the available commands. We get the codes and create tables, and in the previous thing we talked about list database and list tables in the previous video. Actually in this one, if you want to see the version of the Sqoop that we are using and version of the Sqoop that is installed on this cluster, what you need to do is you have to open the command prompt over here again and give the command as Sqoop version. Basically it will return what is the version of the Sqoop that is installed on your system. So anyway, it will take some time to list the Sqoop version, because this will take very time. And using command ls, this is what I'm talking about. In addition to the Sqoop tool name, you are using this syntax, right? You can use the alias scripts like Sqoop hyphen tool name. This is what I'm telling you about the Sqoop script, Sqoop underscore import, sorry, Sqoop hyphen import and Sqoop hyphen export. You can give these commands directly in the shell scripts, and you can execute the file as shell script directly from the bash shell. That is the using command aliases. It is nothing like I will explain you what is the difference when I am doing the hands-on and controlling the Hadoop installation. It is basically, this problem will get when you have multiple versions of the Hadoop. Actually this is a Cloudera cluster, right? So we are not going to face any situation, because we have the Hadoop 2.5 version installed on the system. Suppose you have a requirement, something like you have a Hadoop version of 2.4 is required for one purpose, and 2.6 is required for other purpose, and 2.7 is required for other purpose. So, and you want to use the Hadoop version 2.5 for importing the data into the HDFS, and actually the Sqoop version that you have in your system is compatible with 2.5. In the such cases, what you need to do is you have to specify what is the Hadoop home. In order to specify that Hadoop home, actually you have to give the Hadoop home and the path where the Hadoop is installed and the Hadoop map registry is installed. You can give these commands by using $export Hadoop underscore home or Hadoop underscore mapped underscore home. This is very useful when you are working with multiple versions of Hadoop installed on your system. Basically what you need to do is you have to give the path where the Hadoop underscore home is installed, where the version will be released. If there is any upgrade in the last digit of the version, then it is a patch upgrade. So if you want to see the Sqoop help import, I'm going to do what are the import options that are available, what are the options that are available for the import command. What it will get is, it will return the same screen with the same comments over here, and you must supply the some generic arguments, like all these things are not at all necessary for you to know. This is not at all mandatory for the certification for you to know. And using option first to pass the arguments, yeah, this is one of the major thing that I have to tell you. If you see in the previous thing, right, actually I'm opening the commands we gave. We are using this one minus connect jdbc mysql. Every time this we have to pass through command prompt, by like username is also constant and the password is also constant. So there is a way where we can kept all these things in some specific file, and you have to load that path of the file, and these values will get loaded. That's very cool, right? Actually, rather than typing each and every time, we have to type the connection string, we have to have the username, and we have to type the password. This is very redundant. In order to overcome this redundant task, actually Sqoop will provide an option called options file. So what you need to do is you just have to create some text file, something like options.txt, and you have to give the options that are constantly used, something like this: connection strings, usernames, passwords, whatever they are going to do, whatever you are going to use, you have to give this one. And I told you also in the previous video, actually you can, rather than passing the password from the console, sorry, from the shell, actually you can type in the text file, and you can give the path of the text file. That is very easy, because you can grant the permissions on the files in Unix. So there may be permissions like read permissions, write permissions, and Unix and execute permissions. So on controlling the permission parameters, you can specify who is authorized to read the file, who is authorized to write the file. So it will be secure rather than passing the username and password from the shell itself. And the fifth section is this one. So another thing I forgot to tell you is, so if you are to write this options file, right, you have to write the options file in this way. You have to type the connection parameter in one line, and the path in another line. You have to give the username in one line and the value in another line. Like this, you have to create some options.txt file, and you have to pass that options.txt file. And the fifth section is regarding using tools. This is telling something like you regarding the using Sqoop import and the rest of the tools that are available in the Sqoop. Okay, from here actually our certification course will get started. This is the Sqoop import, and click on this one. Basically the Sqoop import purpose is the import tool imports an individual table from an RDBMS to HDFS. Each row from a table is represented as a separate record in HDFS. Records can be stored as text files or a binary representation as Avro or sequence files. Actually, these are the different data formats that are available in Sqoop. That will be covered as the third section of the certification. And actually we are discussing regarding this one, right? So the import tool is basically to import an individual table. That means if there is one table, if there is a list of tables, but you can import one table at a time by using the Sqoop import command. And there is other command also available, such as Sqoop import all tables, where you can import the, if you have 100 tables in the database and you want to import that 100 tables at a single in a single stretch to HDFS, you can give the Sqoop import all tables command. If you want to import a single table, you have to give the Sqoop import command. We will discuss regarding what are the differences between Sqoop import and Sqoop import all tables, and in the upcoming videos. And in this next section, right, if you see it over here, there is a syntax which is telling that Sqoop connecting to a database server. Sqoop is designed to import data from the starting. We are learning this one only. It is basically to import the data from a relational database into HDFS. So to do so, you must specify a connection string, how to connect to a database. The connection string is similar to URL. This is what I told you in the previous video. You have to give the connection parameter, and you have to give the JDBC, MySQL, and the host name where the database got installed. So don't get me wrong, if you have the host name is just to know something like the host name, you can get the host name where the MySQL database got installed by using the command I gave. It is just for illustration purpose only I gave that command. And this string will connect to a MySQL database. So I think he is explaining the example over here. So what it will do is, this is the database this is the database to it, which it will get connected by using this connection string. And it's important you do not use the URL local host if you intend to use Sqoop with a distributed Hadoop cluster. You should not use local host over here. You have to use the quickstarter provider or the something, the host name, but you are not supposed to use the local host. That's what they are telling. And the connection parameter you supply will be used on task tracker nodes throughout the MapReduce cluster. There is something like job tracker and task tracker. Actually, whenever you are doing something like you give the some Sqoop import command, something like you want to import some data from relation database into HDFS. Actually, it is a job. A job will get converted into different tasks. The task will be executed in parallel, and actually these tasks will be executed on some task trackers. That's what they are telling about. Oh, here. If you are familiar with Hadoop distributed basics, Hadoop distributed file system basics, and if you are aware regarding what is a job tracker, what is a task tracker, what is a name node, what is a secondary name node, what is a master node, what is a D1 process. If you are basic with all the familiar with all these things, then you can understand what I am talking about. If you are not familiar, please go through the introduction videos that are available on the YouTube. There are a lot of YouTube videos which demonstrating what is the name nodes, what are the data name nodes, what are the journal nodes, what are the gateway nodes, like this. There are a lot of things that you need to know before attempting this certification. I am assuming that the people who are attempting this certification are the people who have the knowledge of the gateway nodes and all these things. If it is not so, I am going to create a future video telling what are the name nodes and what are the data nodes in the upcoming videos. And actually see here is you might need to authenticate to database, so you have to give the username and password. That's what we discussed in the previous video. And secure way is to supplying the database. What they are telling is you have to give the password file, and actually this is a dot file. This is one of the secure way for giving the password. And in addition to that, actually these people, they are talking about validation arguments, more details. This is something like enable validation if enable validation of the data copy. It supports single table copy only. I'm not sure regarding what they are talking about over here. And validation arguments, I'm not sure, so leave it apart for time being. We will talk regarding the import control arguments. In the import control arguments, actually these are the list of the import control arguments. So it will be very good if I will demonstrate these commands directly with hands-on examples, because you can't understand even if I'll explain now itself. So let's go by explaining first. Actually, the append file is for appending data to an existing data set into HDFS. Something like you have imported some part of the table. Suppose I have a customers table, and on tomorrow some other new customers registered to my website. I want their data to be processed going forward. So what I need to do is, actually I have imported the customers database in the HDFS by using the Sqoop import command. So I want to process the data of the new customers also, so I have to import the new customers data also. In such cases, what you need to do is you have to append the data of the new customer. You have to append the entries of the new customers in the database to the HDFS. In such scenarios, actually we use the append content. And whenever you will try to import data from a relational database into a HDFS, actually the content will get copied as a text file. There are other file formats also that will get supported, something like Avro data file. Avro data file is nothing but a JSON format. If you are familiar with JavaScript and you have worked in JavaScript, then you will be knowing what I'm talking about exactly. And the other thing is a sequence file. Sequence file is a binary format file. It is just a combination of ones and zeros. And the third one is a text file. If you don't specify anything and you do import, everything, the content will be copied as a text file. Yes. And you can control what are the columns. Suppose there is in the customer table, a customer can have customer ID, customer address, something like there are 100 columns related to the customer, but you want to import some 10 columns only are related for your processing. In such scenarios, actually what you need to do is you have to specify the columns and you have to give the list of the columns through which you need to import. And delete target directory. Whenever you are importing a content from the relational database into an HDFS, what actually it will do is it will create a directory for you. If you will give this delete target, so actually what happens in the real-time scenario is when you will import the data, and if the same directory is existing, the job will fail. In such cases, in order to avoid the scenarios, actually it will delete the target directory if it already exists, and it will import again. And this direct is for direct importing the data. This will work with MySQL database only. I think it will work with a few databases only. And fetch records parameter is to fetch the number of records from database at once. Something like you can specify I have to fetch 10 records at a maximum from here to the target HDFS system. And inline LOB limit, there are something like blob and clob. If you are familiar with the relational database system, you just need to specify how much blob and how much character LOB. You can set the maximum size by using these parameters. And actually I told you, right, there are number of mappers. Whenever you are importing the data from relational database into HDFS, there are some parallel task jobs that need to be executed. You can control how many task jobs need to be executed by using the number of mappers. And query. This query is useful when you want to execute some query. Something like you have an orders table and an order items table, and you want to combine those two tables, and you have to import the combined content into the HDFS. In such cases, actually you have to use joins. For joins, actually there are no commands available. By using the query you can do that, and you can import the combined content into HDFS by using that. And split by. This split by, actually it is very useful when you have to specify the column of the table used to split as work units. What actually it will mean is in some situations there is no primary key on the table. So what you need to do is you have to specify some parameter through which you have to make the split, and you have to import the content on the table. If you want to import some specific table, you have to give the table command. Something like I have a list of tables and I want to import some table, you have to give the table command over here. And target directory is the directory that you have to use if you are importing one table. If you are importing a list of tables, you have to use the whereas directory. And this where command is useful when I gave an example for the query. Actually in query, actually you have to specify the department ID greater than 100. Instead of doing all the select star from departments where greater than 100, you can give the table name and just give the where parameter and give department ID greater than 100. This does the same thing what I told regarding the query parameter also. And compression thing, whenever you are importing the data from relation to HDFS, sometimes you may need to compress the data. Most probably the default compression will be in the ggif format. There are a lot of other formats also available. If you are interested to know what are the formats and how to work on this one, you can give the compress parameter and the compression will take place. And the compression codec, actually the compression codec is this thing that I'm talking about. This is the default ggif compression. When you give the compression, actually the compression will take place. And other thing is null string. So if you are importing the data from a relational database into HDFS, you may be having some null entries. So you don't want the null entries to be present in your system. In such scenarios, what you can do is actually you have to specify what is the null string. That means if the source data format, if the something like the customer name is a string and it has some null value, when you're importing into HDFS, you don't want a null value to be imported. You want to be some default value to be imported. So you can do that by using the null string command. And null non-string, this is the command that is useful to import the data for non-null string. Something like if an integer is there, the customer ID is missing, you want to import by using some default customer ID, something like -1. You can do that by using the null non-string command. Yeah, actually, see, the null string and the non-null strings are optional. If not specified, the string null will be used. Till this, actually, I covered the what are the list of the optional arguments that are available while doing an import. I think it gave some idea regarding what I am talking about. If you are not at all clear what I am talking about, you will get clear when I will do the hands-on, and I will explain how each and every command works in the upcoming videos. If you have any queries regarding this video, please leave a comment in the comment section below. If you like this video, please like this video, and thanks for watching.